Happy 2022. So here we are. I want to analyze a dream of Manny Pacquiao. I'm sitting on my bed, so this is my contemplative corner. Not really. This is the place I watch a lot of YouTube videos and Netflix. But I want to analyze Manny Pacquiao's dream, and so he had an interview because he's running for presidency, and yes, and so I'm gonna put the dream after the analysis because he's speaking in Tagalog. I speak in Bisaya, and but I understand some Tagalog because I live in Manila and they speak Tagalog over here, and so I don't know if I managed to pick everything he says. I managed to pick. I understood most of it, I would say, and even if I didn't understand some of it, I think I still would be able to analyze it well enough to at least get an image of what is happening. So his dream. So what he's saying is that he sees a tall building. So this is the first image he sees. He sees a tall building. I'm a bit unsure whether he's saying he's standing on the tall building looking out, or he just sees a tall building. It does not matter really. And the next image he sees is that he sees a dried up riverbed. And then he sees a horse that is going to try to leap over that. The dry riverbed, obviously, he's going to try to leap over it. And this horse falls straight down. Okay, so we're going to go through the symbols. And dreams are so powerful. I cannot emphasize this enough. Some of the dream which is hard to analyze and so on, we might not necessarily understand its value, but there are certain dreams which is so powerful, and once you get to the root of it, it changes the individual, it changes the society, because if you are changed, everything around you is also changed. And so Pacquiao used this dream as an explanation for his loss, or a premonition for his loss with Marquez, where he got knocked down basically in the boxing. And he says that's why I was just laughing after I got lost, because when he did that, when he stood up, he the first thing that came to his mind was that dream. So why is that? And because in the dream there is a horse that tries to leap over, but it fell straight down. Okay, so we already have some symbols in the dream, so we can start with the building. Obviously, so how do you say this? Dream is never outside the individual, so I don't know what he thinks of the building, but since I cannot ask him, I would need to amplify the symbols in more collective manner, which meaning a more deeper layer basically. So what happens is that he has a tall building. So what is a tall building? Tall building is the masculine principle in the society. It's something that came after basically. There is in certain religion they always says the end of the days is when the tall buildings come. So the tall building is often already have a negative association. So it's a symbol of human achievement in some sense, to reach the sky, and it's also the intellectual. To build buildings, we need the intellectual properties of the mind, and so it's the symbol of essentially the masculine principle, also known as the logos. So the logos is essentially what creates law and order in the society. So that's already as image in his dream. So he's either standing on the tall building, and which I think he is based on the other images. I would assume he's standing on the tall building, and so he sees a red horse. This is very important. It's not a blue horse. It's not a yellow horse. He says it's a red horse, and so there is no such thing as red horse in society. There is only a horse, but brown horse, black horse, white horse, but never a red horse. So most likely this red horse, the red is often a symbol of fiery drive. It's so the horse already can symbolize many things. In this case, I would say it symbolizes his life force. The body in which he is, his awareness is situated. So his body, his life force is trying to leap over to the other side. So if every time in the dream you try to move from one place to another, meaning there is a transition going on in his psyche right now. So meaning in Pacquiao psyche, Manny Pacquiao psyche, there is a transition which is taking place. So he's moving from one place to another, and this place is, and what is holding him is essentially there is no bridge, there is a dried up riverbed. And so, okay, so what is a riverbed? The riverbed often is a symbol of life force. You see this in the Bible. You have the four rivers into the paradise. You see this in movies when they try to find the elixir of life. So if you drink the fountain of life, you will live forever, and so on. So a dried up riverbed is often a symbol of life force. So there is different aspect of the life force. So here, one aspect of the life force is the life force he is carrying, which is the red horse. And it does not surprise that he has a red horse. It's very fiery, And Manny Pacquiao is 8 world division world title champion in boxing. He's literally a living legend, and it makes sense that he has a red horse, not an ordinary horse. He has a horse which is a godly horse, you can say, which is driven with high power. And so this life force of him is now carrying him, trying to leap to the other side. But he falls down, and this is where Manny Pacquiao associated the horse and the person on it as him getting knocked out by Marquez. And I think he's correct in that one, but I think the dream also goes further into his presidential career. I think this dream is more real for his presidential candidacy. And why I say this, because we have the tall building, like I said, it's a principle of logos and a principle of the masculine. And I don't know, there is a myth of Icarus. Icarus is, I think in Roman or Greek mythology, he wanted to reach the sun. He wanted to reach so high up, but his wings was made of wax. And so what happens is that the more closer he reaches the sun, his how do you say this, his wing melt, and he falls down. So symbolically what it means, the more you try to reach the masculine principle of the sun, the logos principle, and if you come too close to it, so it's essentially an inflation. People cannot become like God. If you want to become like God, there is a downfall. So that's why also they say, in many religions, they say you cannot see God directly. If you see God directly, you will essentially die. So what it basically means, your ego will die, because the ego cannot master its energy, basically. It's just too much. And so I feel that I am somewhat reminded of this myth, one that climbs so high. His horse is trying to jump over, which is a place which it cannot. It has a really high drive, but still it does not manage. And you also have the tall building, and I think I don't know if this is I Ching. So I Ching is a book used in in China's used is probably the Book of Changes. I think is 1,500 years old, but already the development of this book took about I would say some say 5,000, some say 3,000 years old. Let's just say 4,000 years old when the development of I Ching took place. And in I Ching, essentially there is I Ching is used for divination. China, they use this a lot. Japan used this a lot during war. They used to divinate before they went to war. And but what happens with this I Ching is that it tells you the different programming in the society and the different programming between the masculine and the feminine principle. And it says here in the first hexagram, it says first hexagram. I don't know if you can see this. This is full of how do I do this? This. Okay, you see there's a lot of you see 6 this one. You see this one. 6 lines. This is the first hexagram, first program of life basically. And I would say this, I call this Adam. You know, you had Adam and Eve. So this is the masculine principle there. And the masculine principle, and it says here, if you do a divination, for example, or you toss coins or whatever, it doesn't matter whether you believe in that or not, but it still talks about archetypal situation. But it says here in the first hexagram and the last, when you come to the highest line, it says here, let me just knight in the fourth. We need to, yes, okay. Arrogant dragon will cause to repent. This is when a person has reached the highest line of the energy point. When the energy has reached so high that is now bound to do a inan to dromia, it's gonna change. But anyway, it says here, lines, where are you? Okay, here. Arrogant dragon will cause to repent. Arrogant dragon will cause to repent. When a man seeks to climb, I'm not saying Manny Pacquiao is arrogant. It's not. We have to think about this thing symbolically. Arrogance could mean many things. Arrogant dragon will have a cause to repent. When a man seeks to climb so high that he loses touch with the rest of mankind, he becomes isolated. And we see this with movie star, you know, they reach so high that they have become isolated. They are no longer humans, you know, they are gods. And by being God, they also lose in touch with humanity, and they lose in touch with their connection. And so they end up miserable, and they do take drugs and so on, so they can, you know, feel like gods again. His touch with the rest of me becomes isolated, and this necessarily leads to failure. This line warns against titanic aspiration that exceeds one's power. This line warns against titanic aspiration. So basically, if you're too ambitious, that over exceeds one's power, a precipitous fall would follow. So that's why I also said I am afraid perhaps his match with Marquez, perhaps I think he's correct that his dream talks about that because Manny Pacquiao analyzed this horse and the man as him basically, which is I totally agree. But I also think it talks about his generally life condition. He's just running for presidency, and I have feeling more towards this is more towards that this dream is about. I think because it reflects everything already he does. Obviously it can reflect in smaller things, but I think this is a warning for his presidency. If you go too high, there will be a big fall. I don't know what that fall is. I don't think his Marquez fight was that fall. You know, his in the dream his horse landed in the dry riverbed. So the question is this riverbed his own internal riverbed, or is it the collective riverbed, the riverbed for most of us basically? If it's talking about his individual riverbed, then the fall is just his own personal fall. But if he talks about the collective riverbed, then this fall would be affecting everyone pretty much. And yeah, I don't know. It's something about this dream that tells me that this is not about so much about his personal psyche. And I say this because the riverbed, that's the thing. I don't know exactly what this yes, yeah, we have it. There is one thing in a dream where he says he's close to the ocean. So I think this is quite deep level at his consciousness, awareness. sorry, not awareness, a collective unconsciousness. If it's the collective unconsciousness, it speaks to all of us basically. So yeah, I think that would go more towards the hypothesis that this is about his presidency, because if he is next to the ocean is the stuff where all life is basically coming from, and it's also a place where we don't know, you don't know what's underneath the water, but there is life. And so in this dream he has a tall building next to the ocean, so he has the masculine principle next to the collective unconsciousness, which all life force derive, and there next to it he has a dry riverbed. So yeah, I think this pretty much talk about his presidency that he wants to take. And yeah, so but it says he's trying to jump over, he's trying to cross over with a horse, he's trying to cross over with a life force which cannot manage, and he has dried up. Yeah, man, I mean, I don't know, I can feel him, or like I can feel how do you say this, like if one person tells me a dream, I can learn more about one person in one dream than I can do spending time with him for 3 years, like, because no one can ever, the dream tells me already his life force will not manage to do this jump. The dream also tells me his life force is very powerful, it's red, it's fiery. And so even though Manny Pacquiao, when you speak to him, is very calm, I already know from the dream there is a fire in this guy. There is a fire, and perhaps that's why he's going for presidency now. Yeah, you can say he wants to change and everything, yes, but you need a spark, you need a fire. But he says the fire will not manage to go over. And that's the thing, we don't know what he's trying to go over. We can only speculate, because one would need to spend more time with him. And if this dream happened before, that's the thing, I don't know how long he has been thinking about the presidency. I assume if this is talking about his presidency, then he's been thinking about his presidency for a long time. And he says he won't manage. I don't know, he's doing quite well in terms of wanting to become president. He's doing quite well actually, in terms of how he's doing it. And I think he will gain a lot of support. But there's something there he won't manage. And I feel like it's not something small, it's very big. It's his life force it's his life force. And it scares me because it scares me. Where he's falling scares me, with what he's falling with scares me, and what even scares me is alone. There is nothing in this dream that tells me he has someone that can help him. When you analyze dream, and people are in this desperate situation, if they have something that could at least help them, talk to, or something in their psyche, another person in the dream, or anything that could help them, you can feel like a bit better about that dream. But this dream tells me he's all alone, and yeah, I think this supports me for his presidency. I would assume he has been thinking about presidency for a long time, even before the Marquez match, and his president. Like I don't think Pacquiao felt alone by his boxing. I cannot see this talk about his boxing in terms of the images in the dream, but I can really see that he can talk about his presidency because he's all by himself. If you're gonna do this kind of thing, which you're gonna become from, literally what he always says, from something to nothing, from something, and but he's all alone. I don't know, like if you work with a few dreams, and that's the thing, you can feel the person, like I'm telling you, like I realized how alone Manny Pacquiao is. he never alone. In his daily life, Manny Pacquiao is never alone. You always see him with people. He never rests. People say he never rests. But this dream tell me this crossing is a lone thing, and he's in a lone place. I would assume that his presidency will isolate him basically pretty much, and he will go to a downfall. Whether it's the election, we don't quite yet know. We would perhaps need more dreams or spend more time on this one, or it could be the after presidency. Then if this is after presidency, then it would mean that he would have a miserable time. Whether it doesn't matter how many he has helped, like he will go through that downfall. If there is no condition that will change drastically, because the image of the dream is so clear, and there is no ambiguity, and like I said, the symbol of the horse is very powerful, a symbol of life force falling down into the dried up river, which is also a very powerful symbol. You know, once you have this archetypal symbol, not so much personal symbol, you are dealing with consciousness which is quite deep, and that's where you can have premonition, warnings of future, because they are like programs of the mind and the energy. And so if this deep of a layer is saying it, you know, that's most likely to happen. You know, it's no joke anymore. It's not just one of those simple dream in which 1 second thought can change the whole thing. This is pretty much in his programming, as perhaps not even as a person, as I can say, society at whole. Man, I'm gonna stop there because I can go on and on. Like I said, the more I talk about the dream, the more symbols comes up. But yeah, I do feel with Pacquiao. I never know he was so alone. Yeah, man, I hope I'm wrong. But I don't know, man. Like the symbol of crossing with this red horse is, and the images in the dream, they are very powerful symbols, and I have difficulty to see that I could be wrong on this one, even though I wish to. But I think these images in the dream is so clear. So yeah, we'll just see what that is, and but it's gonna be something which is gonna be seen and known. You know, it's horse, people that can have physical disease can dream of horse dying or something like that. It means their body is being attacked, and you know, his whole life force is falling down, and in the dream it's just one of them. You know, it's not other people or anything. And even the way he's situated in the dream, if he's in that tall building, you know, it's a bird eyes view. So it's a larger perspective. So it deals with the larger perspective of his life. And so, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm sorry. Oh shit, 24 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna add Pacquiao's sharing of dream, but he shares in Tagalog. But I already explained the dream to you. And so, yeah.
Monday ng gabi, natulog ako, nanaginip ako. And then, yung panaginip ko talagang iba. Talagang, ikwento ko, okay lang?
Sige po.
Nanaginip ako, nasa taas daw ako ng building. Tapos tinitingnan ko yung parang, yung kalsada, lupa, parang alo ng, yung dagat. Tapos, nakita ko may tumatakbong kabayo na may sakay. Pulang kabayo. Tulid, gano'n. Tapos pagtingin ko doon, nakagano'n ako sa building. Tapos pagtingin ko doon, malaking hole, parang hindi man butas, pero parang river na dry, tapos nakaganon lang siya, tapos ganon. So sabi ko, ang tuloy ng takbo ng kabayo, sabi ko, halaka ba, hindi siya abot doon, hindi siya abot. Kapag kahit tumalon ang kabayo, hindi siya abot.
Mahuhulog siya.
Mahuhulog siya. So, nakita ko, tumalon yung kabayo, tapos pati yung may sakay, tapos talagang hindi umabot yung kabayo doon sa kabilang side.
Bumagsak.
Bumagsak sa gitna. Tapos talagang flat na flat, gano'n. Tapos pati yung kabayo, tapos yung sakay.
Anong naramdaman nyo dun sa panaginip na yun?
Sabi ko, ano kayang ibig sabihin ng panaginip ko? So, Monday afternoon, lagi ko pang iniisip yun. Tapos tumawag ko dito sa Pilipinas, Pastor. Sabi ko, Pastor, nanaginip ako. Ito yung panaginip ko, ganyan. Tapos sabi niya, sige, pag-pray natin yan. And then, pagdating sa Vegas, kinminto ko rin. Nagkuminto kami, pinto ko. Sabi ko, ano kayang ibig sabihin ng panaginip ko na yun? Hindi ko maintindihan. Ito na. Pagdating ng fight, ganda ng fight, ganyan, di ba? Ganda ng fight, di ba? Kung ano yung nangyari sa akin, naalala ko yung naalala ko yung panaginip ko. 'Di ba nung nakahiga ako gandas flat ako ng tapos nung nagising ako, 'di ba? Tumayo ako ganyan. Tapos kung titingnan mo, reviewin mo yung fight, 'di ba? Nag-smile ako ganun ako. Nag-smile ako doon sa TV. Sabi ko, kaya nung pagtayo ko, nag-smile ako kasi naalala ko yung panaginip ko. Ako pala yung nakasakay doon sa kabayo na pula.
Oh.
And then,
Babagsak ng ganun.
babagsak. Hindi ako nagalit, hindi ako nagtampo. Parang ano ba na, thankful ako na pinaalam sa akin ng Panginoon before.
Bago mangyari yun.
Bago mangyari.
May premonition na.
Yes.
So pag
bago
natatalo po
mangyari.
kayo sa laban, hindi kayo nagagalit sa Diyos?
Ay, hindi. Nagpapasalamat ako palagi sa Panginoon. Sometimes, nangyayari ito, you're a Christian, na